Hey everyone, Amina here with the Float Small Business Podcast, speaking with Kaie Wellman of Providore Fine Foods about some interesting ways that she's been navigating the challenges of COVID-19 and the optimism with which she's moving forward. My impressions are that Providore is not just a grocery store, it is, as I've seen on your website, a culinary playground. People love being there. It's a place to gather, it seems. I've eaten there and it's an experience as much as it is just a place to buy food. And I'm wondering, with everything that's happened with COVID-19 and everything that is coming down the pike, how is that affecting you? And what does that mean for things like e-commerce, which feels tremendously impersonal?
Yeah, that's such a great question to start out with. I really love that you're asking that because Providore really was conceived as a place where it would be about experience. It would be about, if you can't hop on a plane or you had a moment in your life 20 years before where you ate at a restaurant like in a small town in Italy, that it would evoke that. You could walk the aisles, and it would take you out of the kind of day-to-day reality. And so, you're so right that, when we had to change the space very quickly, and be more about like pickups and orders. I mean, we felt like we lost that a little bit of that experience, that beautiful place where you can sit and you can eat. And even though there have been only 5 people at a time in the store for a while, actually we're now up to 10. We've tried to continue to evoke that experience still by not only, of course, the products that are in there, but the sense of community that we can still bring and how we interact with like the customers, even if there's just 5 that we're talking to at a time. And I think experience doesn't only come, from the space and the products. I think it comes from like that overriding sense that you're not walking into a grocery store, you're walking into a place that will transport you. And yes, you're right, e-commerce doesn't do that. And at the moment, if you look at our website, we're really still not doing e-commerce. We have some lists up there, and I mean, Patrick, our GM, has done a great job of getting stuff up there so people can see what it is. But I think no matter what, like e-commerce is never going to be our core experience because it's too detached, from like feel and smell and sense.
Right. Does that mean then that if, heaven forbid, if push came to shove, that you had to make you had to make a difficult decision between closing and going to e-commerce, would there be a choice to make?
We have an amazing situation. So my husband and I, we have an ownership stake in the building, which is a big difference. That really helps quite a bit. To be able to have kind of like a voice at the table in the front of the building. But we also, Kevin Kavanaugh from Guerrilla Development, he was the developer on the project, and he has the ocean behind us, and he has the zipper, and he has all of these amazing projects in town. And he is doing absolutely an extraordinary job for this community during this and for the businesses that are a part of his developments. And, he wouldn't let it happen. We're in a position, that, we've been in business for 36 years, and sure, we've been through downturns and nothing like this, but mark my words, we will be here at the end of this. Like, we're not going anywhere. And to answer your question, if for some bizarre reason we did, I can't imagine what would take us there. I think we're really creative, and I think we're really nimble. I know we would find a way to still have ways to have some type of storefront because we're very committed to what we are at the heart of this, which is a mom and pop. Well, actually, we're a mom and pop grocery store. So that's my answer to you.
Okay. So, I feel like that creativity and that nimbleness is what is going to get most businesses through this crisis. So I'm encouraged to hear you say that with such confidence. I hear different things from different people about safety, being a concern.
Yeah.
Some people are more concerned than others.
Yeah.
Is how your customers behave a concern for you moving forward?
Again, I love that you're asking this, and it's been a really profound experience for us from almost from day one. As a business, we took some stances early on. I mean, we've always valued our employees. We've always valued our tribe here. But there's nothing like a good pandemic, to make you realize how much you not value, but you love, the people who work here. I don't think of it even as like employees. I think of it as this really is kind of like our family within here, and how important it was to keep them safe. And so, day that the CDC recommended that masks be worn, we switched over, and we switched over not only for us, but then also for customers. And we saw a lot of pushback on it. We experienced a lot of pushback on it. We experienced pushback on social distancing at the beginning. We experienced pushback to when we limited it to 5 people. But we always had something to when we were having a rough time with, I will note, a very, very small percentage of customers. I would say that 99% of the people who are customers here, whether or not they've been customers for 30 years, or, just a couple of months, they came into the space, and or if they had pickups or deliveries, and they came at it with gratitude, and they shared it with us. I mean, it was so powerful, to knowing that every day was really challenging, and to feel this gratitude. And so that gave us the strength, to be able to, kind of deal with those moments when you've got somebody screaming at you, as to why they don't want to wear a mask. And so, yeah, I'm we're powered by gratitude, of the people that, love what we do. And for everybody else that is having a hard time kind of grasping that, we'll continue to try to be here, and support them, but just not in being in the space, because this is about being a safe space. And every day we have people thanking us for making it a safe space.
Has that actually happened to you, where somebody was actually being rude, actually yelling because of the mask issue?
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And everybody else I know that's out here, again, doing what we're doing, or maybe just, at general retail, we're all experiencing it. We've all experienced it. And some days, we're better able to cope with it than others. And we've had days where we've been, so kind of fragile just by, all of the things that we go through on a daily basis, that it's been a little bit harder for us to deal with it. But yeah, we just have a hard time understanding why, a simple act of putting on a mask, even just to come in a space for, 15 minutes, should be, a difficult thing. I mean, I've got people in my kitchen, that are here in this kitchen 8 hours a day or 7 hours a day, over a hot stove, and and have asthma, and and they're doing it because they care about our community.
Yeah. And do you feel like by taking that commitment and also sharing that commitment, do you feel like that's an opportunity to deepen your relationship with your internal team, but also your external team, your customers, people that in your supply chain, to deepen that sense of trust?
Absolutely. I mean, I think our customers have gotten to know us even more, through this. I think they've gotten to know our values even more, and not only through the pandemic, but through all the BLM protests and all of it. I think it's given us opportunities, to be able to, instead of, being that business owner, where I mean, every day, of course, is like a day where we've got 100 things on our list, that we need to take care of. But these are things that, have made us kind of stop and reflect and be clear as with ourselves and with our staff as to like who we are, what our values are, like what our commitment is to them, and then taking that next step, and also, really looking at community. And, I'd be the first one to say that, we were in a situation, Providore has now been, we're heading into our 5th year, but it's a 37-year-old business. And so in the first years, we were transitioning in between making the move from Hawthorne, which is where PastaWorks was until 2015, and moving over here. And, we had some kind of shaky years in there. And so kind of the focus was getting it kind of stabilized. And so I'm the first to admit that, like, I've not given enough time, to be thinking about like how we can support, community. So at least for me, I know people might think I'm crazy, but there's been a lot more gifts, during this period of time, for myself, both like professionally and personally, than there have been, kind of downsides. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. So,
well, I'm sure that optimism that you're feeling and that you exude goes a long way in motivating your team. It's a hard time. So when there's somebody in leadership that is seeing more good than bad, wow.
I have a saying that, and I think a lot of my staff have heard me say this a lot, because, it's, people are constantly saying like, I just wish we would go back to normal. And probably since very early on, I've been saying, let's focus on creating a new normal. Let's focus on getting to like what the new is, and I think within that keeps me focused, and I think that keeps them focused on, like, it's exciting, and what can we do? How can we make the world better? How can we make our business better? And because I think when we look backwards, it's, that sense of loss becomes profound, as opposed to a sense of like, what can we create? What can we create? And the excitement, of what's ahead of us. And that's what I try to stay focused on. And I try to share with our team a lot. Like, I think that's a healthier mindset to be in.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
On that note, do you have any advice for small businesses out there that may be watching this right now?
Well, number one, to all my fellow small business owners, you're all wonderful, and you really make Portland the special place that it is. And my advice to you is to stay hopeful, and to continue to reach out and make connections. Maybe what we're going to be looking at is more collaborations, to be able to get us over the hump. And that collaborative spirit, I think, is really powerful, and it gives us a place to be able to, have somebody to throw ideas off of. I think we're also in a place where our community is really behind us. I think Portlanders are committed to keeping small businesses afloat. And so I think that's a great place to focus on too, but if there's one thing also I can say is, like, most of us small business owners, we are, we're creatives, we're entrepreneurs. We're not necessarily, great with like, Excel and spreadsheets and numbers. So make sure you have somebody in your world, that can support you in that way. And so, you balance like the creative and the financial, and know that it's hard to play both of those roles.
It is.
So that's one of my biggest things for small businesses and people who are entrepreneurial, who are creative entrepreneurs. Find somebody, find a good bookkeeper, or find somebody in your sphere, that can help you marry that financial acumen, like with your vision. And that's I think that's key.
Well, Kaie, thank you so much for sharing your perspective and for being such an optimist through all this.